And there was something about this character that we were both like, this is a person who needs a movie. This woman who's kind of a small-time hustler, got her hands on a lot of irons in the fire, kind of not totally successful, but kind of dazzling when you first meet her, and lives in Times Square. That was like a big part of it, that we wanted to shoot Times Square as if it were a neighborhood. And we just loved her. There was one of the first things I had written was just her explaining some wackadoodle philosophy she has about life. And I think that was the thing that we felt like, okay, well, what's the best way to meet this person? And that's when we came up with this 18-year-old college student, Tracy. Tracy Fishko is a college student in New York, freshly come from Jersey, and she's expecting it to be amazing, and it turns out that it's actually kind of depressing and lonely, and she can't really find her way. And her mother suggests, you should call my fiance's daughter, and because her mother is a divorcee and she's getting remarried. And this man has a daughter named Brooke Cardenas who lives in New York, who's 30, and who this girl Tracy has never met. And Tracy says, no, I don't want to call somebody I don't know. But then she gets lonely enough, and she finally calls her. And Brooke Cardenas is me, and she's kind of does everything. She's like a fitness instructor, and she's opening a restaurant, and she's an interior designer, and she's got a Greek boyfriend who's never around. She's sort of into everything. It's like she knows everybody, but nobody's really her friend. And so there's a kind of sadness to her bravado, and she makes Tracy feel more alive than she's ever felt. And Tracy can't get enough of her. And in addition to loving being around her, Brooke also inspires Tracy to write, which is what she wants to do. I mean, I feel really lucky because both on Frances Ha and on this and on Mistress America, I mean, I'm a co-writer, and I'm also in the movies, and then I'm also producer, and they really are like these little filmmaking. It's almost like a band of brothers or something, and it's all hands on deck all the time. So you're not. It's not. I mean, a lot of traditional films, that there's a feeling of like, they get everything set up, and then they like bring the actors into something that's already been set. And what I like about working this small and this economically is that there is no real like, we're setting it and then the actors come in. It's like we work on the blocking together, we build it together, and then there's nowhere to go away to because we don't have trailers. Noah and I, when we write together, we don't sit at a computer together and say, and talk a scene out, and one person types. We do the writing of it kind of separately in a way, or we'll talk about an idea and we'll kind of start hash it out and get a structure, and then I'll say, well, I'll go write this scene, and then I'll come back and say, I wrote this scene. And he'll say, okay, that's good, and that gives me an idea. I'll go write this scene, and then he'll come back. And so we don't, a lot of the actual writing happens separately. But what we start to do quite early is we'll read it out loud, just taking every other part. And because the writing is so paramount for us, we don't, it's almost like we're listening for it to sound right. And there's it's kind of a rhythm or a feeling that sometimes you'll be reading a scene and trading parts, and then like something will catch on your ear, and you're like, no, that's not right. And we'll circle it and say, okay, let's rewrite this. And so it's a lot of talking out loud and reading, and then going away and writing. And that's sort of how we've done those two movies that we've written together. This part we'd written of Tracy Fishko was so big, and one of the main differences between how we were going to make Frances and this was that Frances, really, I was the very biggest part, and in this one we needed someone to carry the heart of the whole movie through, and we didn't have an actor in mind, so we auditioned lots and lots of girls, and we saw so many talented girls. But it's just such a specific thing. It had to be someone who was funny and had pathos, and it's such an odd thing, this chemistry that you're looking for. And what was interesting about Lola is she was like fresh out of college, barely, and she looked really young, which was nice. And but she actually is not like Tracy at all. She's much more confident. She grew up in New York in the West Village. She really is nothing like Tracy, but she's a great actress. And I think when Noah and I first saw her, we didn't meet, we saw a tape. And she's got that deep voice and a little bit of a lisp, and I love the way she looks.